So in today's video, I'm going to go over why you need a telephoto lens for landscape photography. So I'm still here in Sapa in Vietnam, and I'm hiking up Ham Rong Mountain because there's some nice views of the city of Sapa and the surrounds. And I'm kind of in this little park here. It's kind of like a tourist park. They kind of have some nice gardens and little displays and stuff like that. But if I hike up the mountain, I'll get a nice viewpoint, which I was actually there and was able to get an image for sunset yesterday. But I decided to make a video today and go back to the same spot. So I'm almost to the top. It's quite the climb to get up here, but luckily there's a whole bunch of steps. And I'm in this spot right now called the Rock Garden, which is pretty cool. There's all these rocks here. They look kind of like volcanic rock, but I'm not too certain. But it would be maybe an interesting place to photograph through here. So I've made it to the spot where I'm going to shoot tonight for sunset. As you can see, we have the town of Sapa down there, as well as the nice mountains in the background. Now, a telephoto lens is anything that's about 70 millimeters to 200 millimeters in length, and they really help compress the scene. Like tonight, I am going to do a cityscape, including Sapa with a wide-angle lens, but then I'm going to attach the telephoto lens on there, because we have these really nice mountains in the distance that when I was up here last night photographing this area, I noticed they caught some real dramatic light. So I'm going to put the telephoto on there later and photograph those mountains. But I need the telephoto lens to isolate that spot. And also there's a few clouds in the sky, but not that many in the sky. And using a telephoto lens will help kind of pick out the small details in the scene. Since that mountain over there is way far off in the distance, when I use my telephoto lens, I'll fill the frame with the mountain. And if there's clouds, that'll be great and add to the image. But if there's not that many clouds, I'll have most of the frame filled with the mountain, so it won't be too big of a deal. I've got my composition all set up. I have a wide-angle lens on here right now, and I'll kind of go over it really quick. So we have all the nice mountains to the left, and Mount Fancy Pan is somewhere over there to the left. I'm not too sure. It's one of those big mountains. And then we kind of just have this city down here in the foreground, and then the other mountains in the background. And I'm also making sure I'm framing the scene here with this foliage in the foreground of the lens, because it's catching some real nice sunlight. And I also have a circular polarizer and a 3-stop medium graduated filter. This is just kind of helping balance out the scene because I am shooting directly into the sun, and I do have the sun in my scene, so it's a bit of a challenging image to take right now. And we still have a bit of time, maybe a half an hour or so before the sun goes completely behind the mountains. So when I want to shoot is right before that sun goes behind those mountains there. And then again, I'm shooting with a wide-angle lens, but I know that at sunset I want to shoot this mountain peak way out there in the distance. And even zoomed all the way in at 35 millimeters, it's no way to isolate that mountain peak. Because what I want to do is I want to cut all this town out of the image I take later, so it's nothing but the mountain and no human presence in it whatsoever. And in order to accomplish that, I would need to use a telephoto lens because the wide-angle lens just won't do it. And even if I crop a lot with the wide-angle lens, it still would lose a lot of image quality, so I wouldn't want to do that. And then another thing too is people always say get closer with your legs. If you want to zoom with your legs is what they say. But where I'm at right now, if I walk about 2 more yards, I'll be trampling down the mountain. So that's just not possible. It's not possible with this viewpoint and the composition that I'm after anyway, besides using a telephoto lens. And then I am standing under this umbrella here. Someone has an umbrella and a couple stools. It's almost like they had a little kind of a snack stand or something up here, but there's no one up here now. So whoever did, thanks for that, because it's quite nice because the sun is pretty hot up here. So I can just kind of stand here in the shade while I take my image. So I decided to completely change my composition. I'm shooting now in portrait mode. Because yesterday I got a nice landscape shot of this scene here, and also there were more clouds yesterday, so it looked pleasing with the clouds, and without the clouds today it's just lacking a bit of interest. So I decided to do something different, And then this composition that I found looks really nice. We just have right in the foreground here this green foliage that'll still catch the light, but in this green foliage here in the foreground there's some nice purple flowers which add a lot of interest. And it kind of also makes an S-curve from the front of the foliage kind of to this mountain peak, and then the town to the back mountains, and you still have the town of Sapa there in the composition. So I'm going to shoot this composition here in a few minutes, right when the sun goes behind the mountain, or just before rather, and then I'll put on the long lens and I'll capture that mountain peak far off in the distance. So I am taking some images right now, and I am having to focus stack because the rocks in the foreground are pretty close to the lens here. So I'm shooting at 1/5 of a second, f11, ISO 64. I'm going to do a 3 focus stack. So I'm going to focus as close to the lens as I can, then I'm going to focus on the green foliage, then on the town of Sapa in itself. Alright, so the sun has gone down behind the mountain, and as you can see in the composition here that I have with this wide-angle lens, the foreground is all dark. So pretty much there's no more dramatic light I can get in this scene, and we still have 40 minutes till sunset. So in order for me to keep shooting, I'm going to put my long telephoto lens on there. Because again, we have that mountain that I was talking about shooting way in the background. It's still catching some really nice light. So I'm going to switch the lenses really fast. Alright, so adding the telephoto lens really gave me a lot of reach. As you can see, it went from this with the wide angle to this with the telephoto. So I'm really zoomed in on that mountain, getting just the dramatic light that's hitting the mountain and removing any other distracting human element. So what I have for this composition is very simple. It's just the mountains filling up the whole frame, and I'm zoomed in to 200 millimeters, just cutting out any other human presence there. And it's looking pretty good so far, but I'm going to put some filters on to balance it out. So I ended up putting a graduated filter as well as a 6-stop ND filter on there, so I could do a bit of a long exposure, because there is some really nice smoke that is kind of coming up from the terraces there. So I'm capturing that with a longer exposure to kind of smooth it out and put more smoke in the frame. So just shooting at, let's see here. So I'm shooting at 13-second exposure, f11, ISO 64. And definitely not the greatest image ever because we're not having the best light, but it's still pretty dramatic because it's the mountain with the smoke, and I definitely wouldn't have been able to get this image without using a telephoto lens. Wouldn't even get near close to getting an image like this tonight. So I'm just still shooting here as the light's changing and as that kind of smoke in front of the mountain is going up and down. And that's with telephoto lenses, you can really get some artistic shots because you can pick out just a small little piece of the landscape and only shoot that. The same with like woodland photography, as well as shooting like leaves on the ground and that. A lot of those are shot with 70 to 200 lenses because it just isolates the landscape and just gives you that one little section that you want to shoot. So yeah, these pictures are turning out all right. Now I'm up at 20 seconds for an exposure, f11, ISO 64. And the color's just pretty vibrant, just how the smoke's reflecting the light, as well as the light hitting the peak back there. But the sunlight is about gone, so I think I'm gonna wrap it up here. So that's all for today's video. Most of the light's gone and this place closes pretty soon, so I should pack up and head down. I had a great day of photography. I was able to get the wide-angle lens out and shoot Sapa town, and then I was able to get the telephoto lens out and shoot this mountain peak in the background there. And that's something I would never be able to shoot, that mountain peak, if it wasn't for the telephoto lens I had. I would have had to stop shooting when the light left the foreground and didn't illuminate the town anymore. So having a telephoto lens just gave me a lot more options to shoot different things. So I was able to still do some landscape photography once the light was gone from the scene, because the light was hitting just a small part of the scene way out there in the mountains. So with a telephoto lens, I was able to isolate that small part. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you later.